Welcome into the show, everybody. It's nice to have you. My name is Mark. This is a little show we like to call the Farzy Show, and it's brought to you by MyBookie.ag. That sucked. It sucked. It really sucked. And this is, I feel like we've been saying this way too often over the last year. The loss is really going to stick with me. It just, how against this team does your offense come up so small? I know a lot of people are pissed off at Rob Thompson, and I'm pissed off at Rob Thompson, but good God, in 3 of those losses, you can't score more than 2 runs? 2 runs, 1 run, 1 run. That's how it went for you in this series. I can't wrap my head around it. Even last year, you lose the World Series. Yeah, I'm just kind of jumping into it right now. You lose the World Series last year, and the last 2 games can't do anything. You get no hit in one of them, and then you get the brakes beat off you in Houston in Game 6. And then this time around, you shellac the Diamondbacks, especially in Game 2. You take a 2-game-to-none series lead. You go into Arizona. You botch Game 1 with that, or Game 1 in Arizona, so it's Game 3 overall, excuse me. Game 3 in Arizona, and then you absolutely blow Game 4 with the way you manage your pitching staff. I put that on Rob Thompson more than I put it on anybody else. And then also Craig Kimbrell sucking, but it should be Rob Thompson realizing that Craig Kimbrell's sucking, so he shouldn't be pitching Craig Kimbrell if he sucks. Something we all knew, except the manager didn't know that. And then the bats just come up small again and again and again. And the guys that are the big hitters, they go 1 for 28 in their last 2 games. The Castellanos, Turner, Schwarber, Harper. That's just inexcusable. And one of the hits with Kyle Schwarber the only hit was Kyle Schwarber getting a double last night, and then the Phillies couldn't do anything with that. And it was time and time again that he got somebody in scoring position. Over the last 2 games, 2 for 17 with runners in scoring position. That can't happen with this lineup. And if it does happen with this lineup, then this lineup better be hitting home runs. Better be getting a walk and then a 2-run home run. Better be getting 3 home runs in one game. Better be smashing the ball out of the ballpark to get your offense if you're not going to hit with runners in scoring position. And over the last 2 games, neither happened. You'll hear from Nick Castellanos today. You'll hear from Bryce Harper today. You'll hear from Kyle Schwarber. You'll hear from Rob Thompson. Just the overall words that were used post-game. Frustrated, disgusting, disappointing, gut-wrenching, just stuff like that you're going to be hearing today. And I am right there with you. This loss sucked. It was, I went through a lot of emotions last night doing the post-game show and just talking about the frustration there, being discussed and all that stuff. But you know what just didn't dawn on me? And I realized it after the show. Because, you watch the game, you react immediately for 40 minutes and then 45 minutes, whatever. And then, you kind of, not that I had much of a night after the loss, but I was like one of those situations where, and it was exactly how I thought it would play out. Alone, not talking to anybody, just left to my own thoughts. And I'm brushing my teeth before I call it a day. And I was like, this feeling, like I was trying to think of the word that you used to describe the feeling I had. And I'm like, because it was a feeling I didn't expect. I didn't expect to have that feeling that I had last night and I still have right now surrounding this loss. And the feeling was embarrassment. I felt embarrassed. I felt embarrassed that we pride ourselves on this insane fan base. And we do. We have an insane fan base. It's a great fan base and all that stuff. And to see that happened, that our hitters went south as quick as possible on our turf, I was like, we can't allow that to happen. The home field advantage, we couldn't help you guys at all. The motivation, the buzz in the building, we gave you as much as we possibly could, and that's the performance that you gave us? This is embarrassing. That's ultimately what it was. It's disappointment. It's frustration. And then I was like, what is this other feeling that I have that I can't really explain because it really has nothing to do with us? Because if they start hitting, then, yeah, we provide the atmosphere, we provide the buzz. If they don't, we still provided the atmosphere, we still provided the buzz, and we couldn't lift our team up any higher than they were. It was awful. It still is awful. And yes, this one is going to stick with me for a long time. And surprisingly, of all the guys to speak last night, the guy that I felt echoed how I felt more than anybody was Nick Castellanos. I thought what he had to say after the game was actually perfect. I couldn't believe it. I was listening to it. I was like, I really want to be mad at this guy right now. And I am still kind of mad at him, but he's doing a really good job of summing up how I feel, at least. And the word underachieve gets mentioned. And that's ultimately what makes this such a disappointment, is that you made it to the World Series last year. The bar to get to this year was getting to the World Series. And instead, you lose to the Arizona Diamondbacks, who really, when push came to shove, got lucky at the end of the season that the Cubs happened to collapse more than they did. And they make it to the playoffs with 84 wins. Look, I'm at a point now where I've seen enough wild card teams make it into the playoffs and beat a Philadelphia team or beat anybody really and just become a buzzsaw and go through the playoffs and have no problem and win a championship. I don't know if that's going to happen necessarily with the Diamondbacks, but they limped into the end of the season. They sucked a little bit less than the Cubs, and they start mowing through like a team like the Dodgers, and then they come up here and they take care of business against the Phillies. They go down 2 or 0-2 in their case, and they fight back from that. You can't spare a team. At even 84 wins, 110 wins. You can't spare a team 2 games like the Phillies spared them in Arizona. And so many other things. I mean, the number one thing I'm mad at is the offense and bats going quiet. Right after that, it's Rob Thompson. It's absolutely Rob Thompson. But if this team hits, then guess what? It's not nearly as bad. They're winning. They lose last night 4-2. They lose game 6 5-1. And they lose game 3 2-1. I know you can talk about 2-1 and all that stuff and how bad it was to see Kimbrel come in there and blow it, and Kerkering come in there and blow it and all that stuff. But oh my goodness, the fact that the bats didn't hit for you. You're looking through this series right now, and it's not everything, but it's a good part of the story here. You look at the losses. Game 3, 0 for 4 with runners in scoring position. Game 4, 2 for 7. Game 6, 1 for 7. Last night, 1 for 10. And there was one instance in last night's game in particular that I really thought something great was going to happen. And that was in the 7th inning when Bryce Harper came to the plate. And you just thought, this is it. This is the moment. This is the moment we've been waiting for with Bryce Harper. It's a 4-2 ball game at that point. You got runners on. Pache actually works a walk. Schwarber works a walk. First and second, 1 out. Turner goes up there and strikes out. They bring in Ginkel. Turner strikes out. He throws him back-to-back sliders that are just nasty off the plate. Goes up 0-2 in the count, and then he ends up flying out to center field. Then Bryce Harper steps up with 2 outs, 2 men on. It's a 2-run ball game. This was the saving moment. This was the moment. It was like, all right, everything sucked, but right now, this is when Bryce puts us over the top, baby. Let's go. And Bryce Harper goes up in the count 1-0. Then he gets a 1-0 fastball just over the heart of the plate. And I'm thinking, how did he take that pitch? How did he take that pitch? I'm like, oh, my God, give him that pitch again. Give him that pitch again, please. Sure enough, 2 pitches later, comes back with the fastball. Bryce Harper swings under it and flies out to center field. Just missed it. After the game, he talked about how it was like a tenth of a mile per hour. He beat his barrel by a tenth of a mile per hour, according to the data they get during the game. And he just missed it. He just missed it. That's the spot where Bryce was supposed to come through. That's the spot Bryce Harper is normally made for. And he couldn't get anything going at that spot. There was a couple of ones that he missed last night that were just awful. Just barely missed it, but he missed it. And to see Kyle Schwarber be the only guy to come up with, an extra base hit, yeah, it's great, but also a hit. When you talk about the 4 main guys in this lineup, the guys that are supposed to be producing for you all year long, it's very disappointing. Very disappointing. We'll hear from Bryce Harper on that particular pitch, but that was the moment in the 7th inning that you just knew all bets were off. Zach Wheeler comes in there. He gives you an inning and 2/3 out of the bullpen. He pitched great. Ranger Suarez, for the most part, pitched well. Your pitching wasn't the problem, wasn't the number one problem. Bullpen pitching, you can certainly talk about that. But, of all the things to go wrong, and I mentioned this yesterday, but Aaron Nola, for all of a sudden, the pumpkin, the carrots turned back in the pumpkin was awful. And the team that had been pretty damn clutch up until this series, up until game 3, really, just couldn't come up with the big hit. Rob Thompson talked about it. We'll get to his comments as well. Sean Desai talked about it. Just absolutely disgusting loss. Let's start it off with Rob Thompson overall and his take on how this all came to be.
Yeah, I think they pitched very well. And first of all, congratulations to Torrey and his staff and the Diamondbacks. That's a good club, and they really played well. And you come in this building and beat us twice in this type of atmosphere, you're doing some things right. So, but they pitched well. They really did. Fought. He backed it up, what he did over in Arizona. He pitched well, and their bullpen did a great job. We had some opportunities, 1 for 10 with runners in scoring position, but that's baseball. That stuff comes and goes. But I'm proud of our guys. They never gave up. They fought like hell right till the end, and I'm proud of them. We're all disappointed, but they played hard, and that's all you can ask, really.
I have no doubt that they played hard. It's difficult to talk about that when you see the big bats come up so small in a series like this. To have 2 games at home, I gotta say, I saw some people, NBC Sports Philly, courtesy the sound right there, sound courtesy them. I saw they put out a piece, a fan piece, and people were talking about it like worse than Joe Carter. Like that, no, no, not worse than Joe Carter. But this loss reminds me, if I had to compare it to anything else, it was the Atlanta Hawks series. And I know I've been saying this. I said this the other day too. Like I kind of had that feeling of, I hold on a second. I know that our team is better than that team, but that team keeps winning. What the hell is going on? And that's how I felt about this series at times. But I was like, hold on a second. You're coming back for 2 games at home. You got Aaron Nola going in game 1. You got Ranger Suarez going in game 2. Your pitching in the postseason has been damn near godlike. You got this. And there's no way that this lineup is going to continue to struggle, especially with runners scoring position. And lo and behold, that's exactly what happened. It's difficult to see a lineup struggle like that and say they played hard. They did. They just failed. I felt, and the other word that came to mind over the last 2 nights is regression. Regression came to mind. Trey Turner swinging at balls that are bouncing in the dirt. Nick Castellanos swinging at pitches that are low and away. Corey Simon put it out there last night. 27 pitches. I think by the third at bat for Nick Castellanos, 27 pitches, low and away, flailed at, got outs at, or outs or strikeouts on. That's a horrendous regression for Nick Castellanos in this series when they needed him most. You just, look, good pitching beats good hitting and all that stuff. But man, oh man, when you have a lineup like this, you can't all go ice cold. Brandon Marsh is playing like your MVP in the last 2 games of this series. I love Brandon Marsh. I love old Captain Wetbeard, but good Lord, man, he can't be the guy leading the charge. Alec Boehm starts coming around for you. Gets a home run last night, couple of hits the other night. And all of a sudden, he's helping lead the squad? Really? Really? Yeah, I understand you got to tip your cap to the opponent, and Rob Thompson said all the right things there for a manager about the other team, and I get that, but damn, that sucks. That's just so lousy. You weren't supposed to hear that speech right now. You were supposed to make it to the World Series and then lose to the Rangers, but then you're still supposed to make it to the World Series. As I was saying yesterday, just get to the tournament, man. And what really sucked is I'm walking around yesterday taking care of some things, and people are asking me. I got 2 or 3 people come up to me and ask me about, you like him? You like him today? And I'm like, yeah, I like it. I can't see them losing to Game 7 at home. Sucked. Game sucked last night. Just to let you know what else we'll talk about on the show today. To bring me out of my own. I'm not going to be out of this for a minute. This is going to stick with me. Sean Desai addressed the media yesterday, and they gave Sean Desai a brand new toy. That toy has the last name of Byard, and he's going to be patrolling the secondary for you. I had as many negative thoughts as I had yesterday, especially before I went to bed. There was one that came to me that was extremely positive. By bringing in Kevin Byard in this instance, you are bringing in a guy. Like, think about this for a second. Last year, the Eagles brought in, a week before the season started, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. They brought in C.D. Deuce, a nickel corner that had some experience there at college playing safety. And they made him like a Pro Bowl safety. 6 interceptions. They missed, 4 or 5 games last year and was still tied for the league in interceptions with 6. They took that guy and they made him a damn near Pro Bowl safety, okay? Now they've got a 2-time All-Pro, and they're making that guy integrated starting in week 8. They're integrating that guy with their secondary and their defense. If the Eagles last year, and I understand it was Jonathan Gannon, it wasn't Sean Desai, but I think all of us have a little bit more confidence in Sean Desai. If they could do that last year as an organization with Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, what can they do this year with Byard coming into town and taking over as a 2-time All-Pro, 2-time Pro Bowler? I think a lot. So we'll give you Sean Desai's take on Kevin Byard coming in here and all that fun stuff. But that's what we'll look forward to. But as for right now, I just want to wallow in my misery that is the Philadelphia Phillies, because it sucks. It absolutely sucks. One last thing from Rob Thompson. This one has to do in the future, Aaron Nola. I'm not going to get into this too much. Hoskins did talk about it last night. He was approached in the locker room. He had talked about how he's made it's no secret. He wants to be back here. Loves it here and all that stuff. And when it comes to decisions about him being back or Harper taking over at first base or whatever his future is, he said that's above his pay grade. I thought for a long time that he was going to sign a 1-year prove-it deal. Harper is already a better first baseman. I don't see it any other way. He is already a better first baseman right now than Rhys Hoskins. He's obviously a better hitter than Rhys Hoskins. And if you have a guy on a long-term deal like Bryce Harper, I don't mind him playing first base at all. If he can play in the outfield, which he might still do in the future, okay, fine. It's good to have that versatility. If you're able to go out there and sign another even defensive first baseman, what have you, great. But right now, I do not see Rhys Hoskins coming back in a Phillies uniform. And when they asked Bryce Harper about it after the game, he didn't say, "Oh, I'd love to have him back." It was nothing like that. It was, I'm not even thinking about it right now. Bryce Harper is not afraid to talk about future dealings with the Phillies and what the Phillies are going to do in the future as a front office transaction wise. If you remember last year when they lost the World Series, he said, you got to talk to David Dabrowski, talk about adding some players. And I was like, Trey Turner. He's talking about Trey Turner. Trey Turner. Did I get it? I got it. Anyway. But after the game, Rob Thompson was asked about Nola and Hoskins about what the future holds for them.
What the future holds.
Yeah, I'm not really a part of that per se. So, but those guys are Phillies to me. They came up through the system and they've done some great things, not only on the field but in this city. And they've raised a lot of money for a lot of people, and they're great people, and I love them. What happens in the future, I'm not sure, but I will stay in touch with them for sure.
That's nice. I would be surprised if Rhys Hoskins is back. I wouldn't be surprised if Aaron Nola is back. He needed a clean playoff run here, and he did not have a clean playoff run. The last start was, again, the word comes back, regression. In the worst possible time to have a regression. I don't think he's going to go out there and get the huge money anymore. I don't think he was going to get it before the postseason. It looked like he was working his way to that big money. He's still going to get paid, don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's going to be anything of the Max Scherzer realm by any means. With the advantage for him being that it's a more recent deal and everyone likes to top everybody else. So I don't think that's happening by any means. But I do think he's going to get paid. I think the Phillies are going to be willing to pay him. but I would say it's far more likely Aaron Nola comes back than it does for Rhys Hoskins. I think the Phillies kind of found a silver lining in the whole Bryce Harper thing. It's like, hold on a second, we got this guy on a $330 million contract. It doesn't expire until 33 or something like that. Oh, he can play first base now? Oh, yeah, we're going to go ahead and preserve the hell out of him. Oh, and we don't have to have him as a DH. We can have Kyle Schwarber as a designated hitter. Oh, we can have Brandon Marsh as our left fielder. Oh, we can have Yohan Rojas as our center fielder. Okay, as of right now, I think that's pretty good. And Nick Castellanos has figured out how to play right field. So we're good there. Speaking of Nick Castellanos, I mentioned this earlier, but here he is talking about the frustration. This is, I got to say, I do keep in mind that these players are human beings, and I don't mean that because of human error on the field. 1 for 28, for instance, or 0 for 23, 0 for your last 23, Nick Castellanos in this series with 11 strikeouts. Not even talking about that, but I'm talking about, imagine not having such a great run at work, and then afterwards going out and people are asking you questions about it. They're questioning what's going on in your head. Hey, describe this for me. It all sucks. What would you like me to say? And that kind of hits right here with Nick Castellanos. He keeps his cool, but he answers the question. Here you go.
Frustrated is the correct word. Frustrated.
Why frustrated and not stunned? Can you explain?
I don't know, because I don't feel stunned. I feel frustrated. I think that just we underachieved, I think, as a team. Obviously, like I just told him, that we have to give credit to the Diamondbacks. They played great, but it's a frustrating way for the season to end.
All right, so that should be enough right there. But the follow-up to that question is, obviously, and I've heard from many veteran reporters over the years that sometimes the simple question is the best question, and the most simple question out there is, why? Why is this frustrating? And this is where Nick Castellanos, I feel, sums up exactly how we all feel.
I think just because the potential of this team is so much greater than going home before the World Series. Last year when we lost Game 6, I think obviously we're disappointed because we didn't win the whole thing, but there was a lot of like, all right, well, we got here, like now we can build off of that. So knowing how we feel about this team, and we came up short from what we did the year previous, I mean, it's a disgusting feeling, honestly.
Disgusting feeling. We all share that sentiment. This wasn't supposed to happen. The Arizona Diamondbacks did you a favor in eliminating the Dodgers there, and then you were supposed to have this great and easy red carpet rolled out to the World Series. That was the way it was supposed to go down. You beat the Braves. Smooth sailing after that. You go up 2-0 on a team you're better than. Home field advantage in your back pocket. This is not, it's not right. It's not right. I see one of my regulars from the postgame show, Barbara Carroll. Babs, good morning. She was on the postgame show last night saying, in the comments there saying, her venting her frustrations. I see her right now in the chat as well, saying, was that real last night or was that a nightmare? It feels like a nightmare. It's just a horrible feeling right now. I know. And I do have a feeling with this team that not this right now of the team losing, but I feel like this is going to be a consistent thing with the Phillies in terms of giving us that hope of a World Series. Like the Phillies are very much relevant. The Phillies aren't a perennial playoff misser-outer. Like, they're not that team anymore. They're not that team that didn't make the playoffs, 11 years? They're not that squad anymore. This is a team where the expectation is at very least the playoffs. And that's not just because of a playoff expansion or anything like that. That's because they're a good enough baseball team with an owner willing to spend money and a general manager who is president of baseball operations, and Dave Dombrowski, that's pretty good at his job. I look forward to a full year of Trey Turner playing like Trey Turner, like the guy that the Phillies signed for the entire season. Not his season starting with a good June and then just absolutely incredible August and September. I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for 6 months of Trey Turner being Trey Turner, the $300 million man Trey Turner. Castellanos had a bounce-back year. Bohm's power numbers were up, and then he was terrible in the playoffs, and then started to turn it on real late, but too little too late from him. If he would have gotten some help from the guys that are the big money guys in this lineup, we're talking, whatever, Bohm, turn it on just at the right moment. Brandon Marsh, turn it on just at the right moment. Those guys come up for you in the clutch moments in the final 2 games of the series, and nobody else does. You can't write it up. You can't write it up any worse than that. But I do have a feeling of this team being back. I think they have all the right tools as far as people that are willing to spend money and people that are smart enough to know how to spend that money. And then I think they have a talented enough group as is. You need pitching. Whether it's Aaron Nola or you go out and you get anybody else, you're going to need pitching. Probably the most frustrating thing outside of the lineup not producing is, and we're talking about Rob Thompson using Craig Kimbrell, but Craig Kimbrell was left off the postseason roster last year. And he all of a sudden is trying to close out games for you as you're trying to make it to a World Series. Seems odd. Seems very odd. But yet here we are. Like, even the month of September, he started to pitch really well for the Phillies. Had an ERA like 112 or something like that. But like a lot of those situations weren't closer situations. They were setup man situations. Jose Alvarado became more of a closer than anybody else. And then all of a sudden you're seeing Craig Kimbrell come in these clutch situations. Why, Topper? Why? Number one thing, again, for me is the bats, and the bats didn't produce. Right after that, it's Rob Thompson's decision-making. Yes, the players that went in there should perform, but you should also know as a manager that those players are not performing at the level that you have seen them perform in their best moments during the season, and Craig Kimbrell is the perfect example of that. And I didn't have much of an issue. Look, you needed to make some kind of change because Sir Anthony Dominguez had been struggling. Ryan Kerkering, I'm like, all right, if you're going to have a guy come in and the pecking order right there, I go Kerkering over Dominguez. That doesn't mean he was the best option at times. It just means he was a better option than Dominguez. I don't know how Rob Thompson doesn't decide to use Michael Lorenzen more coming out of the bullpen when he, in the majority of his career, has been a bullpen pitcher. And we actually did use him. It was great. It was great coming out of the bullpen. Taijuan Walker doesn't even touch a ball. I don't mind at all. Christopher Sanchez starting over Taijuan Walker was the right call. I have zero doubt in that. But if you're going to name him your starter, let him pitch. Oh, I said it at the time. I say it again. Having Christopher Sanchez come out of the game at that time only set up Game 5 for Craig Kimbrell to blow it in the later innings. And that's what happened. Yeah, this is going to stick with me for a long time. Man, it sucks. I don't know. I wish there was a moment where I just grew. No, I don't. Hell with that. This is supposed to be a child. Like, I was thinking about it. Like, I wish there was a pill you take, and it's like, oh, well, you're over it now. No, the only thing that makes you get over it is that they win. And they're not doing that right now. I look forward to next season. I'm confident the Phillies will be back in the playoffs next year. I'm confident the Phillies will be a perennial league championship and World Series contender. That's not terrible. But I don't want this team to just get close. Bryce Harper isn't here to just get close. Bryce Harper is here to mash. Bryce Harper is here to do what he did last year in the postseason, which is only be the postseason MVP. And it could have very well happened again if that pitch in the 7th inning got more of his barrel. If he got more of that pitch with his barrel. After the game, I mentioned this earlier, but after the game, Bryce Harper did talk about just missing that pitch, and here he is.
Way things ended.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me personally, I wish I could have done more. I wish I could have, just gone out there and had that big hit, in that moment. But also at the same time, we'll be back in this situation again, and I from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank the fans for giving us their all this whole postseason and this whole season as well. I mean, they showed out and showed up for us, and I know they're going to continue to do that. And I know they're hurting right now as much as we are, because when we lose, they lose, and when we win, they win as well. So I know they're hurting, and we are too in here. But again, we'll be back.
We'll be back. That was more on the fans than it was on the pitch, but I believe him. I know nobody feels like hearing that right now, but I have to be honest with you guys about how I'm feeling about the loss overall, and I've certainly told you my frustrations and all that and where my blame lies. But man, I do have a feeling that there's a silver lining here in terms of this isn't a two and done in terms of the Phillies being relevant. I don't think we're done having parties with this group at Citizens Bank Park in October. I don't think we're done with this team playing at least those meaningful games in September. I don't think they're done with that. My legit fear, though, because if the Phillies don't go out and get pitching in this offseason, if Trey Turner, the way he played through most of this season, is the way he's going to play through most of this contract, well, then that's a big concern. If the Phillies go out there next year and they make the playoffs again, do they get bounced out in the wild card round? Do they get bounced out in the NLDS? My point is, we have seen the Phillies with a pretty great core, arguably their greatest core ever. The Howard, Utley, Rollins, Hamels Phillies. Then adding Roy Halladay and Cliff Lee. Like, we have seen the Phillies look pretty damn great before. We've seen them win a World Series, lose the World Series, lose the League Championship Series, lose the Divisional Series. Like, we have seen them be as great as they'll be and then just take steps back every year. I really hope the Phillies don't start that process. And that could happen. They made it to the World Series, lost the World Series. They made it to the League Championship Series this year. They lost the League Championship Series last. So you have now regressed from what you did last year. Like Nick Castellanos said after the game, you were playing great last year. You made it to the World Series. There was a feeling then of, okay, this is the new norm. This is at least where we're going. This is where we build. We made it to the World Series. Now next year we'll win the World Series. Well, next year you didn't even make the World Series. So maybe it's a reality check for some of these guys. I don't know where they go from here. Castellanos had a great first half of the season, then some ups and downs, some pretty big peaks and valleys in the second half of the year. Went into his batting cage in Miami and started hitting baseballs and apparently figured it out there. Trey Turner did something similar in the Phillies batting cage in Miami, figuring it out there. Then, of course, as we all know, got the great ovation that really helped turn things around for him. I just think there's such a tremendous bond, as you heard there from Bryce Harper, and credit to Dave Ewer and KYW who asked the question. Basically the message to the fans. And I know sometimes reporters will give an eye roll at that, but there was such a special connection between the fan base and this team of like, hey, we got you type of thing. Man. I thought it was at least worth mentioning. But bottom line, I think this team is not done. I don't think this is the beginning of the end. I think this is going to be a perennial contender. And that's just, when push comes to shove, this team is going to make the playoffs. And then from there on out, I think they're going to be a very relevant team postseason-wise in baseball for a couple more years here. Guys like Bohm start to come into their own. Stott comes into his own. You get some help from a guy I didn't even thought about in months, but somebody mentioned him in the chat last night, Andrew Painter. In the years to come, yeah, cross our fingers for that. As for that moment in the seventh inning where Bryce Harper and I think me and a lot of other people were expecting him to come through, here's a little bit more information on that at bat that he had in the seventh inning.
Yeah, he threw me the pitch I wanted. I went 2-1 and he threw me a heater, and I just not being able to come through in that moment, just devastation, for me personally. Just, I feel like I let my team down, and letting the city of Philadelphia down as well. That's a moment I feel like I need to come through, and
I think nothing sums it up better than that. Again, you go through a couple of things in this game. The biggest moments of last night, a Game 7 on your home turf. Ranger Suarez pitches well enough to help you win. Bats don't come through nearly enough. You get the first inning run there by the Walker's RBI fielder's choice. It's 1-0. Going to the bottom of the second inning, Alec Bohm comes up, hits a home run. Where the hell did that come from? 401 feet, jumps on a first pitch fastball, puts it in the left field. In the left field stands, it's a 1-1 ball game. Phillies had another opportunity after a leadoff base hit by Brandon Marsh in the third. Rojas lays down the sac bunt. You get Marsh to second. Schwarber strikes out on a low strike call. It was not a strike, but it was called a strike. And then Turner grounds out third. That ends the inning. Then in the fourth inning, similar pitch to it was only 1-2-3 inning for Ranger Suarez. He gets Pham to strike out on a pitch that was in the same spot as Kyle Schwarber, so at least it was called both ways there by Hammery. And you go down 1-2-3 in that inning for the Diamondbacks. In the fourth inning, the bottom of the fourth inning, Harper leads off with lining out to right field. Bohm walks on a 5-pitch at bat. Stott goes up there and gets to the RBI double. It's a 2-1 ball game. He slices it right in the left center field gap. RBI double for Bryson Stott. It's 2-1. Real Muto comes up. He gets a single. You get first and third with one out. Castellanos strikes out on the slurve away. Marsh gets a walk. You have the bases loaded situation. He walks on 4 pitches. Johan Rojas is up at the plate. Again, for the second straight day, Johan Rojas is up there in a clutch situation. For the second straight game, Rob Thompson is asked about it after the game about any thought to pinch hit. And he goes, if I pinch hit in that situation, I got to use 2 batters. Because I'll go cave. They already have Mantiply up in the bullpen. They're going to bring him in, and then I got to have somebody else hit. In the fourth inning, it was a little too early for that. Johan Rojas is – look, I'm not going to look at Johan Rojas and be like, if he was a hitter, this series isn't even close. They win. And that might be true, but I'm not expecting Johan Rojas to bail this team out. The fact that he got down a sac bunt in the third inning is enough for me. For now, as far as my expectations. Do you trust him to get a big hit? No. Do you trust him to lay down a bunt? Yes. He ends up striking out. Again, chases a slurve low and away. And that was the end of that threat. And that one really came back to bite you in the ass because in the very next inning, the Diamondbacks get 2 more runs across the plate in the 5th. Bottom of the 5th, the Phillies get nothing going for themselves after a Kyle Schwarber leadoff double. Turner had a bunt attempt. Did not like that. They ended up grounding out the third, so that does nothing. Harper then flies out to left field on a slider. Then Thompson comes in. He gets Bohm. 6th inning, Hoffman's in pitching. He gives up a hit, but that was it. It was a seeing-eye single up the middle by Gurriel. Bottom of the 6th inning, Phillies, again, don't get anything going for themselves. That was an 8-pitch inning, and this is a rare occasion. Very rarely we'll ever look at a 8-pitch inning that the Phillies face, and I'll go, oh, look at that, an 8-pitch inning. I'm okay with it. I was okay with it, and I'll tell you why. Every pitch they swung at was a good pitch to hit. And at that point, they got Thompson out there who's throwing strikes. He's pounding the strike zone. Stott goes up there. He grounds out to second base, but it was a good pitch to hit. Real Muto gets up there. He hits a bullet to left field. Gurriel comes up with the catch. And then Castellanos, shockingly, got an 0-1, I think it was an 0-1 sinker right over the middle of the plate, and he missed it as well. Grounds out to short. 7th inning, Corbin Carroll comes up there. He gets the RBI sac fly, making a 4-2 game. And then the 7th inning, the bottom of the 7th inning plays out. Saul Frank's in the game. Marsh strikes out. Pache works the walk. Schwarber works the walk. First and second, one out. Ginkel comes in, gets Turner on back-to-back nasty sliders. He ends up flying out to center field. And then Harper steps up with that pitch that he just missed. And an opportunity, if he goes yard there, Phillies have a 5-4 lead. And then we wait for the bullpen to blow. That's how it would shape up. Yeah, that was the game. That was the game. And I did not expect the last hitter of the Phillies 2023 season to be Jake Cave. But here we are. Or there we were last night. Certainly a rough one. And certainly one that stings, gives you the bad taste in your mouth. I'll sum up Kyle Schwarber. Just said he's disgusted. So that's where we're at right now in the Phillies. Arizona Diamondbacks will get things started Friday night. Game 1 of the World Series against the Rangers. I think it's an 8:07 start time again. Anyway, a party the Phillies did not earn the invite to. I don't think the Phillies are firing Rob Thompson, to answer that question that I know a lot of people are kicking around right now. I don't think they're firing a guy that took him to the World Series in his first ever year as an interim and a manager, obviously. And I don't think they're firing him after he was 1 win away from the World Series the following season. So for the people that are hoping for that, I don't see that as at all likely. I'll put it to you like that. I hope he learns from it because it was pretty terrible. Like, if a guy isn't pitching well, like Craig Kimbrell, I understand that you want to get that guy out there as soon as possible, like during the regular season, so you can get him right for the rest of the season. But in the postseason, on the road, no thanks. Don't want to see it. Don't want to see it. Players can learn. Managers can learn. We can all learn. We can all learn from our mistakes. You know who's not making mistakes? Howie Roseman. How's that for a transition? Oof. Wow. Wow. Just happened to glance at social media and seeing a lot of it's not exactly people aren't comforted right now. There's no words of comfort. There's no words of comfort. If I try to fast forward in my mind, I think the Phillies are going to continuously be in this situation where they're competing to make it to a World Series. That's not exactly a silver lining right now. This is a time for depression. This is a time for being pissed off. And yes, I literally feel embarrassment. I feel embarrassment that 2 games with supposedly the best home field advantage, and they couldn't. Like, Phillies fans did everything they possibly could in this series. They did everything they possibly could in this series. The Phillies were such a great the Philadelphia Philly fan base. The Philadelphia fan base was such a great storyline this year. To lose 2 games at home with your future on the line, slap in the face. That just sucks. Philadelphia fan bases are so much better than that for the season that they had. All right. Hey, the Eagles. And I'm not this guy. I want to be very clear here. I'm not a guy. I'm not the type of person who roots for these teams to win. And then the minute one loses, I'm like, well, go Birds. Or, oh, the Eagles suck, go Phils. Or the Eagles lose the Super Bowl, let's go Sixers. Like, yes, I'm cheering for all those teams. I want all those teams to do well, right? Flyers. Union Wings. I need to bask in the emotions, good or bad. I need to process it, okay? I need to go through that process of it. But we do have a football team to talk about. And although the Phillies losing has bumped up the pecking order of James Harden and whether or not I give a damn about his whereabouts, even though that has kind of elevated that situation, I don't have to get to that yet. So let's talk about the Eagles. The Eagles just brought in a 2-time All-Pro safety. I'll make the point one more time in case you missed it for the live audience. If this organization could take a guy like Chauncey Gardner-Johnson and turn him into like a Pro Bowl safety with 6 interceptions, what can they do and how will they use Kevin Byard? I am absolutely I have very high expectations for how this is going to go. Very high expectations. The Eagles beat the Dolphins, held them to their lowest point total of the season. The Eagles right now have the 3rd ranked defense in terms of yards in the entire NFL. They're one of the best sack teams in the NFL. And you just added to that mix Kevin Byard. That's pretty good. I'm very excited to see how that plays out. Here is Sean Desai on the addition of Byard to his secondary.
Bringing him in, how does he fit what you want to do?
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously a great veteran, had a lot of success in this league, has played in a lot of different defenses, really smart, great leader. I've gotten great reports out of it, so really excited to get him into the room and get him going.
What will the process be like trying to integrate him?
Pretty similar to the process we've had these last few weeks of getting different guys ready to play in the back end. The great thing is he's got a lot of wealth of experience that he can rely on. So we anticipate being pretty smooth. You know, Coach McDonald, we'll meet with him extra, and Coach Johnson and Coach Williams, they'll all get with him extra, like we have been with a lot of the guys, you know? And so he'll be kind of just on par with that.
You have experience playing in a couple of different spots on defense, deep in the box and the slot. I guess how much does that versatility, how much of a resource is it for you?
Yeah, I think you've seen it really with our defense over these first 7 weeks is we value that. You know, and we teach that way, we train it, and that's kind of how our system has been installed. And so he'll fit right into that. And then as we grow with him in this defense, do what we feel like he's best at and what he feels he's best at.
He can be aggressive. He can be a ball hawk. I know by now you guys probably all know he's born in Philly, was raised here, I think until he was about 11 or 12. His parents got divorced and he ended up moving to Atlanta, or moved to Georgia. I don't know if it was Atlanta particularly. So yeah, he's got Philadelphia roots. Philadelphia's been very lucky in my lifetime with safeties. Whether it's obviously Brian Dawkins, whether it's Malcolm Jenkins, even the blink, the 1 year that Chauncey Gardner-Johnson was here, he performed at an extremely high level. He was definitely a guy that could play in the box. He was a guy that could drop back into coverage. As we know, with the 6 interceptions, he could also get in the backfield, wreak some havoc, right? Kevin Byard is a much better player than that. And I just can't get over that Howie Roseman keeps on making these deals happen. We showed you the numbers yesterday as far as the trades go with Howie Roseman and the veterans he's been able to bring in recent time. He is spectacular. This is what you have now expected from Howie Roseman time and time again, every single year. This is what you expect. You expect him to make a game-changing move at some point during the season, whether that's right before the season or that's actually during the season. Whether that's Jay Ajayi coming into the mix, whether that's, you know what I thought about? Because I was thinking about all the moves that Howie Roseman's made. Golden Tate. That one ended up not working out so well, but they still went out and got him. But if you look at the more recent moves, here they are again. You look at these values, these deals right here for these veterans. A.J. Brown, a first and a third. Darius Slay, a third and a fifth. Kevin Byard right here, a fifth and a sixth rounder. Terrell Edmonds there. DeAndre Swift, a fourth and a seventh round pick swap. Howie, what? It's pretty damn good what Howie Roseman has done with this team. But the idea of adding to this secondary is so clutch. It's so clutch. Because now everyone else gets moved down a spot in the depth chart here. You don't need as much from Sidney Brown. Reed Blankenship gets healthy, obviously. You need him out there. But him up there with your linebackers playing as well as they played this year. Jalen Carter playing as well as he has played as a rookie on the defensive line. Fletcher Cox being healthy. Josh Sweat and Hassan Reddick really coming into their own. Nolan Smith. I know Nolan Smith was unblocked in his sack, but you never know if that's going to be the corner that goes in the machine to get him going in his rookie season. Everything is aligning perfectly right before this run. Have a nice little win here against the Commanders on Sunday. Please and thank you. I could really use, you know what I could use for my own sanity? I know it's Wednesday. It's a little early for this, but I could really use a 35-13 win. I could really use a 40-10 win. I could really use a laugher. I could really use oh, look, Jalen Hurts looks healthy. He's throwing bombs. Oh, look, Kevin Byard has an interception in his first game as an Eagle. Even better, Kevin Byard has a sack in his first game as an Eagle. That's not happening. But you know what I'm saying? I could use all of that to help me get over this loss with the Phillies. But I really think that this is something special that you have. And one name that actually got brought up yesterday as well, and I've been talking about this guy for the last 2 days, and I'll mention him again today. Eli Ricks really showed me a lot in this Dolphins game. I'm not saying he is now paving a path for himself to make it into a Pro Bowl, so let's not get crazy. But he showed me something in this game. And he hadn't really shown me anything since the preseason. And that didn't count. At least showed me that he wasn't too small for the moment of being a professional corner. And he came out in this Dolphins game, and man, he played physical. He wasn't afraid to play press coverage. He played smart. And that was another guy that Sean Desai talked about. Just to paraphrase what he said yesterday about him, he's like a sponge. And he just keeps on learning. And it's not just the mental aspect of it, but when you match that mental aspect of the game with Eli Ricks, and you also factor in the idea that he's not afraid to play physically and bring that physicality bring that palpable defensive mentality to the game, well, that's a guy that could be a special player in the making. It's one good game. It's one good game under his belt, but it was a good game at a time that you absolutely needed somebody to step up and have a good game as a corner. And he did that against the Miami Dolphins. So maybe now you have somebody else you can use in that nickel corner spot. You obviously already have the veterans on the outside. Darius Slay came up with a big play Slay, absolutely. But this season, he kind of looks too much like the second half of the season, Darius Slay, the guy that had that knee injury. I need a little bit more from him. I need a little bit more from James Bradbury. Need more from Eli Ricks to continue to build on his young career. And I need Kevin Byard to come in here and just handle the business. And I also need Reed Blankenship to be healthy. Because while he's been out there, he's played well. Things are hitting the stride for the Eagles. I know you just came off a loss against the Jets, but, man, did you respond with a great win over the Dolphins. The ultimate X factor for this team, I think their offense is going to produce. You have to figure out ways to produce more consistently in the red zone. I think we all know that. But if this defense takes it to another level, and what is wild to me is that, again, you go through a 48-hour period with the Eagles, and they go from a team that was losing, they were supposed to lose to the Dolphins, and I don't take anything for granted with what Nick Sirianni had to say after the game about how a lot of people doubt us, a lot of people don't believe in us. Don't doubt the Eagles, right? Well, I look at Nick Sirianni, I look at everything that he said, and I look at everything this team has done, and I look at them capitalizing on every opportunity that they have here over the 48-hour period of coming out, beating the Dolphins in the way they beat the Dolphins. Again, holding them to their lowest point total, having a defense that's third best in the NFL in terms of yards. They become the best team in the NFC. They tie the record for the best record in the NFL at 6-1 with the Kansas City Chiefs, team they played a couple of weeks. And then they add Kevin Byard to that mix. Okay. Yeah, that's a pretty good week. That's pretty good 48 hours right there, as a matter of fact. Oh, you know what would be really great? If they go and they beat the Commanders on Sunday, which I expected to beat the Commanders on Sunday. Not a bad run there for the Philadelphia Eagles. Not a bad run. Let me tell you about the great people at MyBookie. MyBookie.ag. Check out MyBookie.ag and all they have to offer. Bet on anything, anytime, anywhere with the great people of MyBookie.ag. You want long shot odds? How about these long shot odds in a Super Bowl favorite? Plus 38,000 on Eagles Chiefs. Plus 38,000 on Eagles Chiefs right now at MyBookie.ag. When your money's on the line, choose a trusted sportsbook that gives you the tools like MyBookie, the tools to win. That is. At MyBookie, it doesn't matter if your team is up or down. You can easily cash out or bet on a game live and come out on the winning side. Use MyBookie for daily odds boosts, same-game parlays, and take advantage of the huge prize pool contests. Plus, MyBookie has no strings-attached cash bonus that lets you deposit and withdraw quick. Just use promo code Farzy. That's promo code Farzy for your first deposit and receive up to $200 in cash, like you see it right there in the crawl. That's promo code Farzy to claim your own cash bonus right now. Try MyBookie's money bag to grab those potential Super Bowl frontrunners at long shot odds plus 38,000. Once again, for Eagles and Chiefs. You won't find odds like that anywhere else. Bet on anything, anytime, anywhere, only at MyBookie, MyBookie.ag. How about PHL Sports Nation, Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's PHLSportsNation.com. How about the great people at Sky Motorcars? Check out SkyMotorcars.com. Let's get into the chat check and see how you guys are doing on this rough morning. Going to start it over on the Farzy Show page as my computer's jumping around. Bebop. Let's start it off. IBH, what's going on? Hello. Sean Kilrain, what's going on? Go Sixers. Trey Turner just swung at another pitch. Great selection there, Trey. Thompson needs to go, says go Birds, or go Sixers. T-Bro, what's up? Well, go Birds. There you go, T-Bro. Sean Kilrain, 0 for 23 combined with Trey Bryce and Nikki C. Are you kidding me? Thompson mismanaged this team. It's a joke, Farzy. I concur. Rob Thompson did mismanage this team. But here's what I'll say. Offensively speaking, in the grand scheme of things, what is the number one thing, the number one reason the Phillies failed in this series? It's not Rob Thompson. If Nick Castellanos hits, if Kyle Schwarber hits, if Bryce Harper hits, they win this series. They win the series. That was the most consistent problem. Again, I'll go back to it. 3 of the 4 losses you suffered, you scored at most 2 runs. In 3 games where you took L's, you scored a combined 4 runs. That's coming up small. That's coming up small. And yeah, managerial decisions certainly factored into them losing. And I look at that right after, right? I mean, look, I know people look at Craig Kimbrell. He shouldn't have been in those games. He sure as hell after his first appearance should not been in his second. And after his outing in game 3, excuse me, first game in Arizona, in game 3 of this series, after that, he should not come back out for game 4. To blow that lead is just horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. Go Sixers. I really don't want to hear that stupid song ever again. I'm with you. I never want to hear. First off, let's all acknowledge as a group of rational thinking people, Dancing on My Own is not a good song. Not a good song. I hate it. And the fact that it came back this year makes me hate it more. And I know surrounding the Phillies, that's when they started their real run. I don't care. Stop it. Don't ever want to hear about somebody kissing the girl in the corner and you're over there or whatever. Go Sixers. Great call, Farzy. Embarrassing. It is embarrassing. We learn again the ironclad rule of baseball. If you beat the Brewers in the postseason. Oh, God. Sean Kelly, that is an unfortunate trend. If you beat the Brewers in the postseason, you go on to win the World Series. The 81 Yankees, I didn't realize there was this many teams. I had heard about this, but I didn't realize. 81 Yankees, 82 Cardinals, 08 Phillies, 2011 Cardinals, 2018 Dodgers, 2019 Nats, 2020 Dodgers, 2021 Braves, 2023 Diamondbacks. Unbelievable. Mullet Alvarado! What's up? All I can think is, Scooby-Doo, where are you? Just like last year, Cassie swung at every single Scooby-Doo sack. Yeah, it certainly felt like it. Interesting. Discussing after winning first 6 home playoff games this year, Phillies dropped the last 2 and fell to 28 and 13 in the postseason at Citizens Bank Park. Yep. April! Good morning, April. Post-game chat was a dumpster fire last night. So many haters. Oh, April. Somebody quoted me. I should go back and like it. But somebody, I think it was a Mets fan. Hold on, I think I can pull this up real quick, and you guys will probably be able to hear it. Some Mets fan. I didn't want to hear it. I saw this while I was doing my last scroll on my phone before I closed my eyes last night, but somebody hit me up. Here they are. EJ Santana. Here we go. Hold on. Let me see if I can do this here. Let me unmute. For you. EJ Santana. Oh, that is. EJ Santana. Sky Motor Card. Let me see if I can do this. This is for you. Okay. Sky Motor Cars. This is for you. That's me laughing and me laughing. So yeah, a guy named EJ Santana who is a all right, let me turn that off. Shut up, me. Shut up, Farzetta. I think he's a Mets fan. And he was like, "This is for you." Ha 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 ha. And I'm like, "You can't laugh at me. You can't laugh at me. If I take nothing away from this season, I'll still take away that the Mets spent an exorbitant amount of money on a higher payroll than the Phils and pooped the bed many times over. I still take pleasure in laughing my ass off at the New York Mets. It is so beautiful to know that the Mets sucked that bad this year. It is just, and magnificent. It's beautiful. A cabella. So yeah, go ahead and try to throw that in my face. It just makes me laugh more that the Phillies were 1 win away from the World Series, and you guys couldn't even envision the World Series. And it makes me even enjoy it more to think you got some sick burn in on me by tweeting me that. I am laughing at me laughing in a good way. Anyway, yeah. IBH, Kimbrel, clearly not a full season pitcher. Yep. I agree. April, I never wanted to watch Kimbrel in a Phillies uniform again. I don't think you're going to have to. Mia Sanchez, I think Kimbrel's just done. Hang it up, man. I think it's done. You got your 400 saves. Congratulations. That is incredible. A couple of those against the Phillies. But yeah. April, hopefully they all remember this feeling for next year. I hope so. B.I. Sanchez, Diamondbacks were handed the pennant on a silver platter. I want to play them again in the 2024 playoffs. No, thank you. Corbin Carroll is baseball's Micah Parsons. Great, but annoying. Go Rangers. Respect for Bochy. Bruce Bochy's incredible. Bruce Bochy is absolutely incredible. Only manager, the 3 different league championship series with 3 different teams? That's pretty remarkable. Corbin Carroll, by the way, I didn't even mention it. What the hell? If you tell me the Phillies are losing this series to the Diamondbacks, then I'm telling you, Corbin Carroll must have went off. Oh, Corbin Carroll must have been incredible. He had 3 hits going into last night in the 6 games, and then last night had 3 hits. Did not have an RBI, and last night had what, 2 RBIs? Bonkers. J.K., Soto, Kimbrel are all gone now. Hopefully, it feels like 2007 like finish. Start something special. 3 to 5 years of elite baseball on the horizon. Will Thompson manage all of it? I don't know. Here's the thing. If Rob Thompson goes to World Series, loses, goes to the National League Championship Series and loses, and then next year comes out and loses even late in the playoffs again, even if it's another World Series or it's a League Championship Series, then I think he's done. Then I think he's fired. Then I think he's out. And the bottom line is because of the money that this team is spending, they need to get the most out of these players. I don't know who that guy is. Maybe that guy is coaching in the postseason right now in some capacity. I don't know. Jason A., what's going on? I'm sorry, fellow fans. This one disgusts me. I didn't even watch the game because I knew. Ooh, God, really? So angry at the Phils. My mind is all over the place. Wait, Sean Gillespie. I have Peacock and had to go to another app because of the Phils? April, please get rid of the song. Rodney Burton, what's up? Yo, Mark, Switzerland is tuned in, brother. Oh, Rodney, my man. All right, quick story. I'm at Ocean Casino last weekend. 2 weekends ago. Guys there, dudes there, his lovely ladies there as well. They're hanging out watching the pregame festivities, postgame festivities of the Jacob Media, right? We're doing the Eagles coverage, right? And this guy, I go over to him, very nice guy. He's got his Eagles stuff on, right? And we're talking. He's from Switzerland. Well, he's from here, but he lives in Switzerland. And he watches us on Jacob Media all the time. And he wanted to just come meet us at Ocean Casino. How cool is that? And we chatted it up. Really nice guy. Rodney, nice to see you, man. That's pretty cool to see you in the chat there. My best to the lovely lady as well. Thanks for joining us here. Nice to have Switzerland on here. I thought when I saw Switzerland, I was like, are people saying I'm Switzerland? Like I'm on the fence or something here? How dare they? No, but Rodney, what's up, bud? Nice to see you. IBH, MN Farzy, Phillies in the playoffs, and both New York teams watching on TV. Wah, wah. Dang, it's on Peacock? There we go. All right, let me get over to the Jacob YouTube page, see how you guys are doing over here. I find people to be upset. Purdy Mania. Your handle is Purdy Mania and you're breaking my balls? Seriously? Farzetta, what was the Diamondback score? I fell asleep. Niner football. 5-2. Niner football. So much for spending that stupid money. You won't be back. The NL is getting stronger. TB Takes, what's up? It's simple. We fell in love with the home runs and forgot the fundamentals of the game. I don't really ever think that the Phillies do the fundamentals of the game. I will say that much. Yes, they live and die by the home run. Simple as that. Isaiah, what's up? Nick is a loser. All right. Jeff, TB takes his right. The Diamondbacks played. They did play baseball. They got runners in with one out from third. Phillies didn't. That's basically what it comes down to. I put out the stat last night about the Phillies being 1 for 10 with runners in scoring position. And I forget who it was, but somebody was like overrated stat. The Diamondbacks were only 2 for 7 last night, something like that. I agree that sometimes you can look at runners in scoring position and say that it's overrated because obviously you get somebody in scoring position, you should bring him home. But a lot of times you get the long ball. A lot of times the guy's on first and he scores on a double or a triple or what have you or whatever. And you could have a guy with a leadoff double and then you have one bad inning and all of a sudden you're 0 for 3 with a runner in scoring position. But last night in a 2-run ball game, it's not overrated. You did not capitalize on opportunities presented to you. You did not play small ball. Other than Yohan Rojas getting down a bunt and Kyle Schwarber getting that double with Trey Turner coming up. I think he tried to lay down a bunt, and that didn't work out too well. It was pretty pathetic. Eagles fan, haha, I told Bill of the Diamondbacks, 1 Game 6, the Phillies are going home, and ta-da. Okay. Bats were cold last year, too. It's pathetic. Isaiah, I agree. Aunt Nana Patty. What's up? For as many clutch moments Bryce Harper has had, he's still ringless and not over the hump. Come up short again along with the rest of the high-dollar players. Yep, that's what happened. Babs, what's up? Farzy it really did happen last night with the nightmare. This was a championship series. I compare it more to the Eagles' home loss in the championship games. It hurts, man. Yeah, that's pretty rough. 3 of those Andy Reid teams dropping the home play. Oh, God, in the conference championships. TB takes Redding was on the wall in the Brave series. Niners all damn day. I almost feel bad about how many big games / series Philadelphia loses. My Giants won 3 titles in 5 years when the Phillies won 1, then choked from 2009 to 2012, and then 2020. Just shut up. How about that? With Bruce Bochy, who's back, by the way. Joe, what's up, Joseph? Let's call it Walker was not smart at all. Walker. Midnight Lexicon. Great name. Maybe this is who they are, and we are overvaluing the Big Four. Well, it certainly looked like it. Yes, Andrew Painter not pitching next year, but just a name I hadn't thought about. Craig Kimbrell's fault. Please don't bring him back next year. Yanni, they're not bringing him back. They can't bring him back. We won't allow them to bring back. Ricky Beavers, also a great name. Both last year's World Series teams lost in Game 7. A championship rematch is rare. That's why I don't think the Chiefs and Eagles will make the Super Bowl. Very interesting. BSing Sports. The names that you guys are playing the hits today. Did the Eagles get a linebacker overnight from the Titans as well? No, they did not. Ricky Beavers. Dawkins was a beast, but Asamoah fell flat in Philly? What? I would never mention those two in the same sentence. That was part of the 2011 Dream Team, the Asamoah deal? And that was in the offseason. At this point, your dad says he's used to the BS. Or she's used to the BS. I don't know. Daz, I don't know. Daz says that. Don't ever want to see Kimbrell. You're not going to see Kimbrell. There's no way Kimbrell's back. Wheeler kind of powerful. That was some great stuff from Zach Wheeler last night. Absolutely. Thanks, everybody in the chat. You guys are great, as per usual. This sucks. It's going to be a long time before they get over it. Rodney, what's up again? Hello. Yes, brother. Absolute facts. Thanks. Phillies blew it. Yep, I agree on all counts. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, everybody. One more thing I wanted to get in here. Do I have this? Where's my notes? There's my notes. Sixers start the regular season tomorrow against the Milwaukee Bucks. It's an 82-game preseason for the Sixers. That's my take on it. It's an 82-game preseason. All that matters is the postseason, and I don't have high hopes for that. I am really going to miss the Phillies, though. I'm really going to miss the Phillies. This sucks. Also, the Flyers dropped their second straight. They lost 3-2 to the Golden Knights last night. They're back at it tomorrow night in South Philly against the Wild. 7:30 puck drop. Thanks for watching. Jim Heidenproof's program did a wonderful job. As per usual, my name is Mark Farzetta. Make sure you hit like. Make sure you subscribe. All that great stuff. Be back with you guys tomorrow to talk about the Eagles. Good times. See you guys then. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. See ya.